one is the demand. It's the person buying it. It's when I posted on Backpage, it's the guy that called the phone number to get services.
There are so many people buying sex services in Madison. The police department is adding a new position to the victims unit.
And this person will specialize in human trafficking and could start as early as this summer. As NBC15's investigates, Hannah Anderson found out right now it's easier than ever to buy someone illegally for a sex act in Madison without anyone knowing.
That's right. Victims of sex trafficking take a huge risk when sharing their stories, in fear their trafficker may retaliate if not behind bars. But it's a risk Mackenzie is willing to take after she survived 2 years of being trafficked in a community she grew up in, right here in Madison. To protect her, we're not showing her as she shares her story.
We were in a Walgreens parking lot in Madison, and they seen us sitting there.
At 19 years old,
we were looking for drugs. You could smell it all over us. I mean, they knew it.
Mackenzie met her trafficker.
My trafficker, also my drug dealer.
Partying led to manipulation, and before she knew it...
Did you know that your trafficker was trafficking you?
No. No.
He took advantage of her heroin addiction.
And then all of a sudden, I'm giving him all my money, and all I have from it is a pack of cigarettes and a little shot to do to stay well.
He knew where she was at all times.
He had full control over the price and what they were being told, and what I would offer. He's the one that decided what I was willing to do with them.
Mackenzie says Johns, or people willing to buy sex, would pay anywhere from $100 to $500 per interaction.
It's the guy sitting next to you in church. It's your husband, it's your mailman, it's your local neighborhood police officer. I've seen guys like that. And it's also who you might expect it to be. You know, the gross guy in the corner over there. Some days we would meet one guy. If he paid enough, that's all you would have to do. And some days it was up to 5. I specifically had Johns who were like, hurry up before my wife and kids get home.
It's one of the most financially lucrative criminal enterprises that's operating in the United States at this time.
Detective Roger Baker works for Madison Police.
It's easier for Johns to do this now. It's more anonymous. They don't have to show themselves on the street per se. They can sit in the privacy of their home.
In one quick check online, Baker says there were 300 people for sale in the Madison area for sex services.
The trafficker has virtually low overhead cost. A trafficker takes a victim and he or she can sell that victim 10, 12 times a day, sometimes more, day after day, keep selling that victim and taking the money.
Madison police are changing how they approach some former prostitution cases, now as human trafficking.
In the past, you're right, there's always been trafficking, there have always been pimps that have been exploiting women and sometimes men on the street.
The difference comes when the profit doesn't go to the victim. It's going to the trafficker, in the past known as a pimp. Also, human trafficking can range from psychological manipulation to physically restraining someone against their will, and everything in between.
If somebody's being forced to do something that is destroying their spirit and destroying their self-esteem and damaging your life, you don't want to re-victimize them and charge them with prostitution.
Another change, the grooming work happens digitally, and it's easier than ever to connect with young people through apps, games, and websites.
Youngest victims that I've worked with are, typically juveniles that are missing from home. That's when they're most vulnerable, and I've seen it as early as, 14, 15.
These girls are innocent, vulnerable people that just need help.
Help Mackenzie got after her trafficker was arrested. Police connected her with Jan Miyazaki at Project Respect.
This is going on here.
Just last year, they helped 112 people get out of trafficking.
Of that 112, I just think it's the tip of the iceberg.
It's very hard to admit that this is going on in your life. I know when I first got out, it took a long time before I even acknowledged that he trafficked me. It took a really long time to even say it. So it's not easy.
Life is different now for Mackenzie. She says she's clean and knows her trafficker is in prison.
I do worry that the day these guys get out of prison that they will come find me, but I have some time.
Time no longer owned by her trafficker, but still the life for many women right now in Madison.
Like I said, a lot of people don't make it out, and that's a very real reality that I have to face.
Women Mackenzie hopes hears this story.
I didn't know. I didn't even know what it meant to be trafficked until it happened to me, which is why it's so important to raise awareness.
Oh, it's just so important that Mackenzie was willing to share that story.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. And Detective Baker's actually been doing this work for the last decade?
Yes, so he's been working at MPD for 29 years and has been focusing on human trafficking and high-risk missing children for the past decade. He says the two are closely related, actually. He also told me some of the hardest cases, because I asked him, how does this wear on you? He says that it's hard for him to see people he's tried to help back online and for sale, just showing that his work is long from done and just shows how manipulative the traffickers can be.
Yeah, and there's actually an event tomorrow talking about this topic.
Yeah, absolutely. So yes, tomorrow from 7 to 9, there will be a panel at Our Lady Queen of Peace Church in Madison, free to the public. And if you or anyone knows someone being trafficked, please call this number, share this number. Also reach out to Project Respect for resources, anything to help those impacted. Also, all of this on NBC15.com right now.
Hannah Anderson, thank you. Important story.